Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. It's October now, and I'm sure more than a few of you are enjoying the evenings watching a horror film or two. Maybe you're reliving some of the classics like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, my personal favourite Alien, or maybe you're watching some of the new stuff. Can't think of any off the top of my head because I don't tend to watch a lot of more recent horror films. Hereditary. You might be watching Hereditary, I don't know. But that's not important. Today I want to talk about horror films. I'm passionate about horror films in a certain sense. I would really like to make my own someday. I don't think I will, but I'd like to. I've got ideas for them. And one of the things I've been thinking about recently, since making that Altitude review, is how important the location of a horror film is. So, without further ado, let's talk about horror film settings. The setting of a horror film is one of the most important aspects of it. I mean, sure, you need a strong villain. You need a strong, intimidating villain, whether they're physically strong or physically intimidating, or maybe they've got some level of supernatural powers, or maybe they have a very strong emotional effect on the characters. Often you need decent characters if you want to have a strong effect on the audience viewing them, but it's not necessary, as countless 80s horror films have proven, with weak characters only there to be killed off. But I think one of the things a lot of people overlook is the location, the setting of a horror film. You need to think about the setting and the scenario. For instance, the first Evil Dead film. Back in 1981, nobody had mobile phones. They couldn't call the police, call for help. They're out in the middle of nowhere in this cabin that didn't have any landline or anything. Their car, while it still worked, couldn't get over a bridge because the bridge had collapsed. They had almost no chance of getting away. They got attacked out in the woods. Something was in the woods hunting them. It was supernaturally powerful, and it was infecting them and causing their own friends to turn on them. It's an effective idea, even if the film isn't perfect. Same with something like Nightmare on Elm Street. What are you going to do? You tell your mum that you're having bad dreams and your dream monster is murdering people? Sure, people are totally going to believe you, son. It's a good concept because there isn't really any way that the characters can escape. You can't not sleep. I mean, you can not sleep, but eventually you will pass out. Trust me, I know from personal experience. Another perfect example of what I'm talking about would probably be something like The Thing, or my favourite film, Alien. In The Thing, it's just a small group of researchers out in the middle of the Antarctic at their research station when they uncover the Thing. They're then all trapped there together. You can't just run out into the Antarctic. You're going to die if you just run away. Sure, radio for help. They'll get there in a week if they can. Or what's that? You can't even radio for help? Great. Once all communication ceased, maybe they'll realize that something's gone wrong there, and then they'll send someone out. But that could take months. So you've got to now try to survive for a pretty long period of time out in the middle of nowhere. Of course, that takes away from something which I will get into in a moment. But now I think it's time we talk about my favorite film, Alien. You might have noticed at this point I'm going to get any excuse I can to talk about Alien, because I think it's the best horror film ever made. I think conceptually, in execution, in atmosphere, in every way. We spend almost like an hour with the characters, just getting to know them. Each of the characters have their own personalities, have their own histories, have their own story to tell. And we're not exactly quite sure at the beginning who the main character is going to be. It's fantastic because you're trying to build this connection with all these different characters. To this day, I can still name all of those characters. And I watched this film back when I was like 7. I love it. I love it so much. And it's so clever in how it works. All the many layers to the film, where all the many layers to the film with different meanings, all the build up, all the tension, the set design, the character of the Nostromo alone. And it's the character of the Nostromo that I want to talk about at the moment, because that's the location. Alien, as far as I can think of, is the only horror film that I think truly uses its setting to its best advantage. In what I'm talking about in this video, I want to talk about how planes seem to be the perfect setting for a horror film to me. And Alien does that. Alien basically does everything I would do with a plane setting, except for the time frame. Because I think with a plane setting, you have that time frame, you have that limited window of time, where you've got to either survive, or your pursuer, your attacker, has to get you. You've got what? Let's say a flight from London to LA. That's a 12-hour flight, right? 12 hours where you're being hunted by somebody on a plane. There's not exactly a lot of places to hide, not unless it's a larger sort of double-decker plane. Maybe you can get into vents, maybe you can get into the staff-only areas. Can they get there? What weapons can you find on the plane? That sort of thing. It's such a good idea, and it's such a cool concept to me. I don't get why other people don't use that. And that brings me on to talking about Altitude. Altitude had the perfect setup for that. They're on a plane, in the air. They can't escape. It's great, fantastic. So build on that. What are you going to use about the situation, the location that you've put your characters in to scare us more? Are you going to make the plane look very small? Are you going to keep us close? Are you going to make us feel claustrophobic? It's great if you do that. Altitude didn't, and that's why I feel it fails. So saying that, there should be some great horror films out there set on planes that incorporate these ideas. Trapped in a very confined space, no chance of escape, because what are you going to do? Open the plane door and jump out? Great. You've depressurized the cabin and everyone else in there is going to die now. Are there enough parachutes for all of you? There isn't? Oh, I guess you get to save yourself, everyone else dies. Oh, wonderful. Or maybe somebody else saves themselves and now you die. Maybe you don't even know how to use a fucking parachute. So what are you going to do? Look out the window and go, I'll figure it out on the way down. It's just pull a cord, right? It's a good idea. I love it. I love the idea of setting something on a plane, because how are your characters going to deal with these situations? Are they going to try find weapons on this plane to fight back their aggressor? Is the aggressor supernatural or are they human? And so, I embarked on a journey. I've decided to try find any tool good horror film set on a plane. And so, start that journey. I'm going to take a little cue from I Hate Everything. Spin the wheel. Well, this should be fun. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. I'm hoping to do more reviews, really, for horror films, because I like watching a lot of horror films, and I really enjoyed making that Altitude review, and the Look Away review was quite fun to do as well. So I'm looking to expand more with that, and maybe do more of these more off-the-cuff talks about horror films here, where I just want to talk about the importance of different aspects of horror films, how some horror films use tropes in different ways, that sort of thing. If you'd like to talk, if you'd like to join me in just having a chat or something about this, come join the Discord server. It took me quite a while to set it up, and I'm quite happy with how it is. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Bye.